Recall Newton's second law states that the net force is equal to the instantaneous rate of change of momentum with respect to time. And the momentum of a particle or a single object with a mass m is equal to the mass multiplied by its velocity. So for a particle with a constant mass, we can write Newton's second law using the mass by the acceleration. And if we separate the variables, and integrate both sides, then on the left hand side we have the impulse, and that's equal to the change in momentum of the particle, which is travelling at some initial velocity. So an example of an impulse, which is a force applied over some duration of time, is due to an explosion, which generates a shock wave that delivers high pressures to an object. So here the blast generates a very large force that acts over a very short duration on that particle. But impulses can also include collisions between soft objects, where the force has a smaller magnitude and it's applied over a longer time duration. We previously derived Newton's second law for a system of particles, which states that the mass by the acceleration of the center of mass is equal to the net external force acting on the system. And here we are looking in one dimension, where we use the horizontal components of each force. And we found that by Newton's third law, the internal forces cancel each other out. Now if we replace the acceleration terms by the rate of change of velocity, and then multiply through by dt, then integrate the equation, we obtain the following expression. So therefore the sum of the change in momentum of each particle in the system is equal to the change in momentum of the center of mass. And that's also equal to the impulse due to the net force acting on the system. We've previously defined an impulse as the integral of a force with respect to time in the context of a particle, and that was equal to the change of the momentum of the particle. Now if we divide this equation by delta t, then by the mean value theorem, this expression is the average force. And then if we multiply through by delta t, we get the following expression. So therefore this defines an equivalent impulse where the area under the curve, given by the average force by delta t, is equal to the area under the curve given by our original impulse. So therefore the impulses are equivalent. So in this example, where we've simplified the impulse due to an explosion as a triangular impulse, so in this case we're looking at one dimension, and the impulse is the area of that triangle. And we can also observe that the average force here is F0 plus 0 on 2, and then multiplying the average force by delta t gives us the same impulse. An explosive is detonated and it produces an impulse on a particle weighing 1 ton, which is initially at rest. And we're asked to calculate the compressed distance in the spring, which has the following stiffness, assuming no energy is dissipated. So first, using the impulse and momentum theorem, the impulse is the area under the force time curve, which is half the base of the triangle, converted to seconds, by the height, which is the force, which we convert to newtons. And this impulse is equal to the change in momentum of the particle, which has a mass of 1 ton, by the change in velocity. So because it's at rest, v0 is 0. And then once you solve for the velocity, we apply the conservation of energy, which is the kinetic energy minus the energy dissipated, which may be due to the explosion damaging the mass, and this kinetic energy is converted into elastic potential energy to compress the spring. So 40 kilonewtons per meter is the same as newtons per millimeter. And when this spring is compressed, the velocity of the mass will be 0, so the kinetic energy is 0. So since we assume no energy dissipation, so we ignore this, and then substituting the velocity from the impulse momentum equation, you can find the compressed distance of the spring.